In the last Ford performance tracking episode, I mentioned that I finally have the first serious C engine candidate. This doesn't mean it's validated yet, and it doesn't mean it's ready. And it definitely doesn't mean it's going live in the frozen parameter production sense. What it means is that for the first time, I have a candidate that's interesting enough to continue researching. And that's what this video is about. Not a finished engine yet, not a deployment announcement, just the first serious candidate moving through the ZenWave research process. One of the changes since the last update is the creation of a new copy account called ZenWave Lab. Every future engine idea will start here. The lab exists specifically for candidates that are still under development. Logic can change, parameters can change, and entire concepts can be abandoned. Nothing is frozen at this stage. That's why Engine C is currently running in the lab account. Not because it's validated, but because it's earned the right to continue being observed. And I have to admit, there's a certain irony in looking at the accounts right now. At the time of recording, Engine A is still recovering from a drawdown. Engine B is also still recovering from drawdown. ZenWave book is positive as it started later in 2026, missing all the losses at the end of 2025. And the experimental lab account is positive too, which of course immediately makes you want to declare victory. But that's exactly what the lab is designed to prevent. Interesting is not the same as being validated. So for now, the correct response is simply interesting. Continue observing. Engine C wasn't created because Engine A failed, and it wasn't created because Engine B failed. If I wanted another Engine A, I already have Engine A. The reason Engine C exists is because living with A and B taught me something important. These are very low win rate systems. Most trades lose, and the winners are rare. And while the backtests look fantastic, living through those equity curves is a completely different experience. So I started asking a different question. Could I build something that delivers positive expectancy differently? Not necessarily higher returns, not necessarily better returns, just differently. More wins, faster feedback, shallower drawdowns, and a smoother path. So far, we know about A and B's performance since launch. This is how B looks like at minus 11%, and it's similar to what we see over here. This is Engine A's backtest. Also, it's not matching live as we discussed why in the last Ford performance tracking episode. And now this is C's backtest. If we ran at the same time of launching A and B. It definitely would have been a better experience sitting through for the same period as A and B in that short period of time. Now let's see the other years on the website where I've uploaded the data and have already built the tools like viewing individual years. One of the first things that caught my attention was looking, for example, take 2016. Engine A and B both eventually work, but they spend a significant amount of time underwater before they do. Engine C behaves very differently. It gets above water early, it stays there, and it compounds more steadily. The shape of the equity curve is completely different, and that's important because traders don't live inside performance tables. They live inside equity curves. But then you look at 2014, and Engine C basically spends most of the year lying in a coma. Some years it looks brilliant, other years it looks like it's forgotten it has a job, which is exactly why it's still a lab candidate, not an engine. The purpose of research isn't to find reasons to believe, it's to find reasons to doubt. And so far, I've found both. Once you zoom out and look at the full 12-year backtest, the story becomes clearer. Engine C does not outperform Engine A, not even close, not even Engine B. As you can see, Engine C is, if we look at the linear graph, it's a flat line. By the end of 12 years, it's that much different. So instead of linear, we can look at the log or the rate of change so that we can see things clearer. Engine A remains the stronger standalone engine. Its expectancy is higher, its long-term growth is higher, its convexity is stronger. If my objective was simply maximizing returns, I just continue running A. But that isn't the question I'm trying to answer. The question is whether C improves the portfolio. Looking at the data, several things stand out. The win rate is dramatically higher. Drawdowns are lower. So around 24% versus around 40% for both A and B engines. And if you can see the drawdown duration filter for the worst days, they are in very different periods in time. The equity path of C is noticeably smoother, and perhaps most importantly, the return stream appears largely independent from both A and B. If you go down over here with the drawdown comparison and independence from A and B, here are the values. The correlations remain very low. Even during drawdowns, the relationship remains limited. That's exactly what I want to see from a portfolio candidate, because a strategy doesn't earn a place simply by making money. It earns a place by making the portfolio better. And that's where things get interesting. When I add Engine C to the simulated book portfolio, the results improve. Not because Engine C is outperforming Engine A, but because it's bringing something different. That's the key idea. Engine C isn't trying to replace A and B, it's trying to earn a place alongside them. So where does the research stand today? At the moment, I'm still cleaning up the long side signal logic. I want every decision clearly understood, every assumption documented, every rule properly justified. Only once I'm satisfied that I truly understand the long side will I move on to validating it. After that, I'll decide what role shorts should play, if any. At this stage, both the logic and the parameters are still allowed to change. That's exactly why it's in the lab account. The purpose right now isn't performance. The purpose is understanding. Engine C has not earned the right to be called an engine yet. What it has earned is the right to continue being researched. That's where things stand today. A promising candidate, a different return stream, a possible future addition to the portfolio, but still very much under investigation. And if it survives that process, eventually it may graduate from the lab and earn a place alongside engines A and B. So research continues, validation comes next. And if Engine C proves itself, it won't be because of a single backtest, a single year, or a single promising chart. It will be because it survived the process. And that's exactly what the lab is for.